Hi, everyone. I wanted to put together a quick video to discuss my feelings and my opinion on what's going on currently in the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Is there a conspiracy? Is there no conspiracy? What is the delay? Point number one, I believe Jack is the finder. I think Jack provided enough proof to show that he was at least with the treasure chest and Forrest Fenn in the lawyer's office. I don't think that Forrest had the chest pulled. I don't really think there's any controversy. Okay, that's number one. The part that I want to make clear is I don't believe that Jack is the solver of the poem. I believe he probably solved the ending and then he simply used 25 days of brute force searching, eliminate every possible area while boots on the ground, and he effectively stumbled on it. So, although he's the finder, I believed that he used information that was out there in the public from another searcher. Now, I'm not going to say that it was me or Sam. It was somebody that was searching in Wyoming. And he basically used that as a starting point because he believed that that was the most likely solve. And then he just basically finished it before that person or that group did. There's nothing wrong with that because people that put stuff out in public, including myself, we do so knowing and willingly, accepting the fact that people are obviously going to see it. So you run the risk that somebody's going to see something that you didn't and they're going to solve it and they're going to make it to the ending before you do. I believe that the treasure was in Wyoming, period. There are legal documents out there. And sure, Forrest might have committed perjury and lied in the affidavits that he has supplied to the court back in August of 2020 before he passed away. But I'm not going to discuss that because, again, I don't think there's any controversy here. So, why do we have a bunch of people discussing controversy? And I don't even have to name names. You're going to know who I'm talking about. Right off the bat, two or three of them are female, and then there's one or two males in there. And basically, one thing they all have in common is they were all, number one, searching in the wrong state for most of the time, and also that happened to be New Mexico. I don't know that it's a coincidence that everybody that sued him was looking in New Mexico. I don't know. Maybe those people are just mad, because they didn't solve the poem. But that's neither here nor there. So these people are, I think, causing some of this controversy. And the other thing I want to say about those people, and I believe this really, Forrest Fenn was not a stupid man, okay? All of these people actually, at one point or another, claimed that they were friends with Forrest Fenn. They've been to his house. They've been there to interview him, or they've been there on social visits, whatever. And I think what happened was Forrest, being a smart man, he knew that for the most part, those people were trying to get inside information from him that they can then use to capitalize on finding the treasure chest and or building their online presence or their online business. In other words, they're trying to build a business based around the name Forrest Fenn, or they were trying to get a solution to the poem. So Forrest is smart. Forrest knew what they were doing. They were kind of hoping that he would slip up in his older age and maybe give out a hint. So he purposely put bullshit out there. Okay. He knew what they were doing, so he gave them what they wanted to hear. Bullshit. He taunted them with things like you can dip your toe in it, and he gave other hints to other searchers that pushed them out of New Mexico up to Wyoming. But I believe that it pushed them completely in the opposite direction of where the treasure chest actually was. And that was fully intentional on Forrest Fenn's part. And I honestly believe that he got a kick out of it and a lot of laughs at their expense because they thought that they had inside information. And he knew that they were going to present that information on YouTube or pass it amongst themselves, so you have one searcher mailing another searcher, and all behind the scenes, they all think they have inside information. Forrest Fenn knew that it was all bullshit, and he basically made fools out of them. So that's what's causing all this controversy. But the funny thing is that those people causing the controversy and those people that basically harassed Forrest Fenn are the joke, because he got even with them for trying to take advantage of him. That's my opinion on it, period. I don't think the chest was pulled. I think that Jack is a legitimate finder, but I believe that he didn't do all the work himself. He basically found somebody else's solve. He believed in their solve, and then he did what they didn't do. He solved the ending, and he made it there before them. People are going to bring up controversy such as, why is the treasure chest in Santa Fe? Why did Jack have to contact Forrest for permission? And then he waited overnight before he went back and got the treasure chest, because apparently he found it on June 5th. And, again, why does Jack not have it? Why is it in Santa Fe? There's many reasons why that could be. And one of them I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to link right above the video I'm talking about. Back in 2018, actually prior to that, on Jenny's website, I discussed what I call the proxy theory. I also discussed it on AGK's channel and various other places. What it basically, in a nutshell, what it is that I believe that Forrest, just like he says in the poem, I give you title to the gold. In other words, he doesn't say I give you the trove. You're seeking the trove. You're looking for his treasure, but he only gives you a title. Okay? So the poem does lead you to the treasure chest, number one. But what I believe happens is that when you solve the clues, when you get to the ninth clue, you're going to locate something on site, physically there. And let's just say for right now that it's one of his bronze bells or jars, something like that, right? When you locate that item by solving the poem, inside that item is the title to the gold. In order to retrieve the chest, which is not in a safe deposit box, and it wasn't in an IOU in there. There was no paperwork. There was nothing like that. There was simply a legal document, the title that you had to find first while you were going through the clues. In order to get access to the treasure chest that was in the Rocky Mountains, and it was north of Santa Fe, in order to get that treasure chest, you have to first execute the title. To execute the title, you would contact Forrest Fenn if he's alive, because the title is probably pre-signed and notarized by his attorney, okay? And also his attorney is aware of it, that if he passed away, they would essentially use the instructions in the treasure chest to bring that legal document to Santa Fe to his attorneys. I believe what is inside of that legal document, quote unquote, or title, is that Fenn essentially made an offer that you couldn't refuse. Basically, or I shouldn't say that you couldn't refuse, that was so enticing, the average person wouldn't refuse it. Okay. And basically, he wanted that chest back. So, what he's telling you is he'll get the treasure chest back from you. Either you can keep it yourself and do whatever you want with it, just like he said. Go get it, keep it, do whatever you want. It's out there. You don't need his permission to get it or anything like that. Or you could give it to him in exchange for some sum of money, probably more than he thought that the treasure chest would be worth, because he wanted to entice you to do that. Now, why would he do something like this? Well, there's a very good reason why he would do it. Number one, you remember how he was always so sure that the treasure wasn't found, okay? He doesn't have to monitor the treasure chest. He doesn't even have to be there, okay? What he could have done is, let's just say that somewhere north of Santa Fe, in the mountains, he owned a very small piece of land. It was a deed, okay? A trust. It's called a land trust. So he had that small piece of land, very small. It's probably undeveloped. It's probably in the middle of the woods. You would walk past it, walk through it. You would never notice anything because it looks like any other woods. It's got trees, brush. There's nothing there, nothing there. Completely nondescript, no beautiful lakes, no nothing, just bare land in the forest north of Santa Fe, probably in New Mexico. Okay. Let's say he owned that land, right? Would he go there, dig a hole 6 feet deep, bury it, bury the treasure chest out of range of any metal detectors. Okay. Fill it in. He could have done this a year before he started the book. It doesn't matter. Just bury the chest, hide the chest. Okay. Now the chest is in New Mexico, let's say, right? And it's buried 6 feet deep. It's on private property. There's no way to find out who owns that property. I don't care what kind of Freedom of Information Act or anything. There's no way that you could find that property. There are plenty of ways you could do that. All the movie stars do it. They own cabins, they own property in Colorado and Wyoming, whatever. And they don't want anybody to know that, hey, this famous person owns that, because they want to go there and relax without being bothered. So it's a very common thing that people will do something like that. So now he has the treasure chest hidden. Okay. So he finishes the poem. He takes the title to the gold. He goes to his lawyer and he says, look, what I want to do is I want to give away that piece of land that I own in New Mexico through this LLC or subchapter C. And again, I discuss all this in the video I did 3 years ago now. All right. So I'm going to leave a link to that. You can go read it. So he discusses with Larry. He goes, look, I want to give away that land. So help me fill out this legal document. Okay. This title. And I'm going to pre-sign it. And I'm going to transfer ownership to that person. And I'm going to create an account, an escrow account, put enough money in there for X, 100 years, whatever, because the property taxes were only probably a few $100 a year, if that. He could prepay all of that, right? And then he fills out the legal document and he tells his lawyer, I'm going to put that document in the chest and give away the land or whatever. Okay. Then he goes to Wyoming. And again, I'm not going to discuss controversy. I believe either this proxy theory is wrong and the treasure chest was physically in Wyoming, or the proxy was in Wyoming. Either way, all the clues and the solution is in Wyoming. It wasn't in any other state. All right. So he goes to Wyoming and he's carrying something that's only about 3 or 4 inches in diameter and maybe 6 inches tall. He could bring that anywhere. He could have that in his pocket, in a backpack. It's not 42 pounds. It's not a 10 by 10 by 6, chest of gold. All he's doing is hiding the proxy with the title in there at the 9th clue. In other words, consider the proxy the 10th clue. If you want to get the treasure, you have to first obtain the title. So the finder solves the poem, Jack in this case, solves the ending of the poem. And then he goes there, gets the proxy item, brings it back to the hotel, contacts Forrest Fenn, who's still alive, and he says, hey, I got the title. What do I got to do next? So he contacts Forrest Fenn. Forrest Fenn tells him, bring that down to Santa Fe. He tells him that on the 5th, let's say. So Jack heads down there on the 6th, and basically he executes the title. So now Jack owns that land where the treasure was. So Jack digs the treasure chest up in Santa Fe. All right. But he's the one that has the title to it that he got in Wyoming. All right. So he digs up the chest, and those are the pictures you've seen. And that's why there was a delay getting those pictures. All right. So why was there a delay? Why are we here a year now and Jack still don't have the chest that hasn't been sold? Well, here's what I think. Let's try to keep it simple. Forrest Fenn could have had in that agreement that I'm going to give you, let's say, I don't know, 5 million, 10 million, whatever, some number that he knew that even at auction, nobody would pay that much for the chest. I'm sure it wasn't all of his inheritance, but it was probably a large amount of money. But there was a catch. He told Jack, unfortunately, you found it. You solved the poem or whatever. You found the chest, but I'm not dead, and you can't get that chest until I pass away. He may have even said that you have to wait until after a statute of limitations expires after his death. Now, Bill Gorman said it's 3 months. I don't know. Let's say worst case is it 6 months? Probably. In other words, when somebody passes away, you have a certain amount of time to file any legal claims. If that time limit is reached, you can't file any more legal claims. You've reached the end of the statute of limitations. You can no longer sue them, right? So at that point, right? So Forrest Fenn would tell him, okay, 1 year, let's say from the time of my death, if you take this offer, you give me the chest now, and you got to wait until I pass away. And for those of you that went and got his will, you can't see all of his assets in his will. There are many ways to, through businesses and various other means and stocks and stuff, that he can keep stuff away from you. It's private information. You don't have access to it. The IRS or the government access, you don't. You ain't going to get it from any Freedom of Information Act. Sorry. So, no, of course you're not going to see the treasure chest in the will. That would be stupid. Why would he put it in the will? He hid it out there. It's not his chest. Okay. It was out there for somebody to find. And in this case, Jack was the finder. Jack found it. Jack decided to take him up on the deal. He went back to Santa Fe. He got an attorney, and four of them met: Forrest Fenn, Forrest's attorney, Jack, and Jack's attorney, and they worked out the rest of the deals. From at that point, Jack now has to sit there and wait until Forrest Fenn passed away. Forrest Fenn passed away 4 months later in September of 2020, right? So now he's probably got to wait until the statute of limitations expires, since he took Forrest up on that deal. And basically, he's never going to get the chest. Okay. He's only going to get the money or whatever Forrest Fenn offered him. You're never going to be able to find out what that was. Um, and one of the restrictions to that could have been that when Jack gave up the rights of keeping the chest, he also gave up the rights of giving out the solution. So it's very possible that Forrest might be coming back with a message from the dead, essentially. How do you know that perhaps Forrest didn't pre-record a video that he wanted to play either 6 months or a year after his death that gives out the solution and tells everybody what really happened? Because Forrest essentially bought the rights to the ending story from Jack in exchange for the money. So Jack is the finder, but Jack can't claim to be the solver, partially because I believe he didn't solve it. Like I said, he used somebody else's solution, and or Forrest Fenn prevented him from doing that. But Forrest wanted a way to kind of let the community know what really happened. Like he had said to a couple of people, and we don't know whether this is true or not, but he said things are not exactly as they seem. So maybe we're going to find out more, but I don't think there's a big controversy or any kind of conspiracy. I don't think anything illegal was done. I think essentially you have a bunch of searchers, a couple of them female, that are basically butthurt that they were looking in the wrong state, number one. Number two, Forrest Fenn made jackasses out of them because he fed them a bunch of bullshit. He didn't give them any valid hints, and he watched them run around telling secrets to each other behind the scenes because they believe that they got good inside information when all they have is bullshit. So I bet you Forrest Fenn laughed all the way to the grave, and if I were any of those people, I'd be ashamed. I think that you're basically a fool. Forget about the chase. Forget about it. You didn't find it. I didn't find it. Just move on with life. Nobody cares about your story. And as far as this Dan guy goes in his book, that might be an interesting book to read. I haven't read it. I would personally not buy it. My main reason for not buying it is I have no interest in reading anything that has nothing in it but drama. If I wanted to read a book, I would want to read a book that has a solution in it. And you're not going to find the location or the solution in Dan's book. You're not going to find anything in there. All you're going to find in there is his opinion and opinions of the same people that were trying to squeeze information out of Forrest Fenn. In other words, all bullshit. So I think the whole book is basically bullshit. I would invest a penny in it. I mean, no offense to Dan. He might be a good writer and all that, but I really don't care. I'm interested in the solution, not what he has to say. I don't read drama. I'm not into that. I like reading scientific things, and I like reading proofs of stuff, not garbage. So basically, that's all I have to say. That's what I think. I think that either June 6th, we're going to hear something, perhaps from Forrest through a video or through his attorneys, or it's going to be the 1 year anniversary of his death, which will be September 7th, 2021. And I believe that the legal document that was in the chest that nobody knows about except for Jack was, in fact, the title to the gold. That's all you get. And Forrest didn't lie when he said the treasure chest is right where I tell you it is, and the poem leads there, because the poem led you to the proxy item, which gave you the title, which is what the poem tells you it's giving you. And then it gives you instructions on where to go in the Rocky Mountains to get the actual chest, which happens to be on private property owned by you, the finder. So good luck of anybody trying to claim that there was a legal issue of where the chest was stored. No, not if it was on your own property, which incidentally brings up a lot of interesting things, because if it was on Jack's property, technically Jack could have left the chest on that property and never dug it up. He wouldn't owe the IRS anything, because the chest, he didn't get it. So anyway, that's what I believe. I don't think there was any controversy. I think a lot of people just get into the drama because there's nothing left of the chase. There's not any interesting videos that are going to be coming out. And anybody that has a solution, including myself, I already put it out. There's really nothing to discuss. There's nothing illegal that happened. We got a bunch of ambulance chasing lawyers that are butthurt because they were looking 600 miles away from where the treasure was. They didn't have any clues correct. And then you got other butthurt searchers that tried to make a career out of this by appearing on all kinds of documentaries as if they're some expert in the matter, when the fact is they didn't have any clues right. They didn't find anything. They were fed a bunch of bullshit that they then believed. And yes, that includes any emails that he might have sent to people such as Dal. I don't believe any of that stuff. I think it was just all bullshit. He knew that what they were trying to do. And he basically also used them because any promotion that they were doing was only benefiting him and his family, because it means more books get sold and more people come into the hunt. So either way, it was a win-win for him. The only losers out there are the same people that are trying to act like big shots in the chase right now, when they're in fact a nobody who never even had a solution. So that's all I have to say. Have a great weekend, folks. Peace.